It's time for a new adventure.
Welcome back to another episode of Adventures in Business. This is your co-host, Amy Zander, and I am without the lovely Lisa today, but that's all right. I've got you covered. Before we dive into the guest today, I just want to take a minute to read a couple really nice reviews that we've gotten on Apple iTunes. So the first one is from Carly Carberry. You might remember her. She was our last guest in season 2. She rounded out ending the year, and I've actually gotten to know her pretty well lately. And she left this review. Amazing. I had such a good time on the show. Lisa and Amy offered such a welcoming space. They make it easy and so fun to talk about your passion project. I'm so grateful for the experience and the platform they have created for others to share their work with the world. And I appreciate you, Carly. Thank you so much for leaving that review. And if you're a new listener and you don't remember Carly's episode, Carly is a Reiki professional and a yoga instructor. And I highly recommend you go back and listen to the episode about Carly Carberry. Another quick little sweet review that we got was from Trevor Oldham. He said, 5-star review. Awesome. One of my new favorite shows. I like to hear that. Thank you so much, Trevor. Appreciate the shout out for that. So we really appreciate any kind of review that you can leave our show. If it's on iTunes or Facebook or anywhere, we really appreciate that. And don't forget to check out our new YouTube channel. You can watch us or listen to us, both things together. So thanks so much. But thank you again for all of those reviews. But let's jump right into who we have today for our guest. We have Jake Darnell, who works at Royal Scot Golf and Bowl. And he's also going to be joined by another one of his coworkers sometime mysteriously in the show. That person will pop in. But let's give a warm welcome to Jake. How you doing?
Hi there. I'm great. I'm glad to be here. It's been a wild week to get things rolling. Balancing, juggling school and full time is always a great way to keep busy and keep to an agenda. So it's something I've been doing for a couple of years now. And now that we're into the thick of the fall season, it's just an exciting thing for a lot of cool events that are coming up. So got a lot to share about what we're doing here at Royal Scot.
Yeah. So tell us what you do at Royal Scot.
So my role here at Royal Scot is the bowling marketing and promotions manager. So that covers a lot of areas, but the long of the short is that I'm here to make sure that our lanes are never empty. That covers everything from our tournament events that we host with the MHSAA to the NJCAA. We'll be hosting a men's and women's nationals event in March. We'll be working with the NCAA to have a regionals event for the women in April. We got clinics coming up in the spring with Storm Bowling, big brand of the industry, to keep things going. And then as we get through the rest of the fall year, the Michigan State USBC will be hosting their state senior tournament here with us this month. So very excited to continue to move things forward and just keep the lanes occupied. I love the faces that come in. The community that surrounds bowling is such a unique niche in terms of the people that come through and the personalities that come out, especially when you get the emotions involved. They throw that first strike of the day. It's like it sets them in tone. And then when you got to pick them up a little bit because they're having a bad day, you get a lot of character that comes out of people when you get them on the lanes.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. I agree. I'm a bowler. I think a lot of people in Michigan are bowlers, right? We're one of the biggest bowling states in the U.S., aren't we, Michigan?
We are. I was certainly up there. Metro Detroit USBC as an association is a larger association than Lansing. I think they have close to 8,000 or 10,000 members, if I'm not mistaken. So they do quite well for the number of centers in that region. But by and large, the state of Michigan definitely holds their road. I would say in the top 25% of states in the country that have bowling.
Sure. So you listed a lot of different tournaments and organizations that you work with, but you guys have a lot of open bowling options for just the general public, right?
We do, yeah. We have our open bowling is always there. Typically, we open at about 11 o'clock, and we're open till 10 or 11 on the weekends. Which is great for friends, family that want to come out and just have a good time. We got some birthday party options. We got fundraisers we can put together for you. So some great ways to build camaraderie, both for your family or your social group, or even as a business. We have a lot of great venue spaces here to be able to help put that together. Most people don't even realize we have an entire second floor that has a banquet facility upstairs. So we can fit about 450 people up there for a banquet reception, a graduation, a Mothers of all Mother's Day type celebrations. The sky's kind of the limit on kind of what we can put together.
Yeah, I had my first annual marketing summit in 2022 at Royal Scot, and Joanie Kilchermann, the general manager there, and the staff all took amazing care of us. It was a whole one-day event, and we had lots of people come out. So that's been amazing. I've been to a lot of events at Royal Scot. Actually, I've had big networking events there. I've been to like high school graduation parties, which is really cool. I think that's awesome for parents to know that you guys are an option, so that you don't have to worry about cleaning your own house and cleaning up the mess and all that other stuff. You can just have people come to the banquet facility at Royal Scot. There's plenty of parking. All that stuff is really good. So, yeah. So,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was going to say our motto is the perfect place to play. And so we try to caveat that into a number of different activities between the bowling, the golf. We have our pinball arcade room that kids love to play at, and then the banquet facilities and even foot golf, the sport most people don't even know about that we offer. It's like a combination of soccer and golf together that we have adjacent to our existing 27-hole golf course. So we've had some World Cup qualifiers and some events there as a newly introduced sport that is making big waves here in the United States.
Yeah, let's talk about foot golf for a minute, because I know that Royal Scot is one of the only few foot golf courses in the U.S., or at least the Midwest, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. I played it with my two kids and my dad, who's a big golfer, and I am not a golfer. And we wanted something to do, with the kids and stuff. And so we did the foot golf. It was really fun. My kids love kicking the ball as hard as they could. My dad was pretty good at it, but that's not a surprise because he's also good at golf. So yeah. But I mean, your facility is beautiful. It's really just nice to be out there on the greens. It's just so pretty, it's just like,
it is. The groundskeeping crew does a really good job of covering up the areas that need, attention, and making sure that everyone that's going out on the course, that they're being safe and what they're doing, and the cart paths are well maintained so people can get to and fro without having, any kind of, I would say, liability or hazardous obstacles to have to go around. So it's very, very fortunate of the landscape that we have to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's in a really nice area. If you're not familiar, listeners, where Royal Scot is, it's off of Grand River. Are you technically in Lansing or Grand Ledge?
We are Lansing.
Lansing. Okay. So it's on Grand River, west of the airport. And it's a big building. Can't miss it. Big sign, Royal Scot, huge parking lot. There's plenty of parking. So you guys do like classic car shows out there. You had a food truck war and beanbag tournament not too long ago. ZD Media was a sponsor of that. You guys do all kinds of stuff out there.
Yeah, we'll be having our truck or treat Halloween event coming up here on the 28th here for October. So we're going to have a whole parking lot decked out with all different kinds of partners that will be here. And then kids will be able to go around and check out each of them throughout the afternoon. So yeah, it's exciting. Halloween is a fun time of year, when people can get creative and they can get a little bit more into character for how they're feeling at that time of the year. So it's cool to see some of the costumes that some of the kids put on, and some of the vendors that even get into it too. They go all out. It's awesome.
Yeah. Don't some of the vendors or the sponsors like decorate a golf cart?
Yes, they do. And that's the fun part is they get a golf cart is by its own self just a standard model, but when you can put all kinds of fun features on it, it really kind of decorates it into its own.
Yeah, nice. So I want to go back for a minute to what you were saying in the beginning. So are you a full-time student and you work at Royal Scot? Is that what's going on here?
Yeah, so I am. I'm considered part-time in a graduate program at CMU. Okay. I'm studying for my master's in sports administration, and then I'm also full-time here at Royal Scot, helping oversee all of our leagues, our open bowling, and all of our events that we have here.
Okay, so sports administration. Now, does that include bowling? Sounds like you're kind of applying what you're learning to what you're doing at Royal Scot.
Absolutely. It's the only way that I think you can do it in this day and age. Yes, absolutely. Applying what I'm learning in the classroom, in the field. In my experience, there's a lot of opportunities that the program has shown me, whether it's in ticket sales, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in analytics, in each of the jobs that I've had that allow me to move that into where we are now. And so one of those classes that I'm taking is facilities. So we're assessing and we're now building an entire project plan of a new sport recreation establishment as if it were something that was going to be happening in place. So we have all of our different fields for how we're going to go about designing and implementing this project. And so using those kinds of concepts, I can then look at this and go, okay, these are the different fields of study that go into a process like that. How does that compare to what we have here at Royal Scot, and begin to address, some of the items in our facility, because we're a facility as long as it has been here and for as well maintained as it has been. There's always, things here or there that got to be, assessed. So it's good to have that perspective and that look at, okay, this is where we are and this is what I'm learning to do. And now I can apply it to right where we are here at Royal Scot.
Well, and the industries and fields are always changing. Technology is changing, things like that. I mean, like a long time ago, there weren't bumper guards and things like that for bowling, or even probably electronic, like people were taking score on a piece of paper. Right now, it's all kind of done for you. And yeah, I don't even know if I remember how to properly keep score in bowling anymore, because I was in a bowling league when I was little, like in grade school, and we had to learn how to do that. But now it just does it for you. You don't have to know how to do it, right?
Right. No, and it's fun teaching the kids to learn how to do it too, because they get so excited when they get it right, because they're so accustomed to having to mental math it all down, and then they'll be like, oh well, I got this number and it's supposed to be this number, because they'll see it on the screen too. And then when they get it right, they get so excited. And we actually have that as a component of our youth program, so that the kids can learn while they're here as well. We try to incorporate some educational activities for the kids.
Okay. Talk a little bit more about the youth program.
Yeah, so the youth program, it's been going on for many, many years now, but through the pandemic and in the recent years after I graduated from high school in 2015, there was a bit of a decline in the program, where not as many kids were getting involved, and we had to come up with some ways that we were going to be able to kind of help revitalize that a little bit. And there have been some programs through Bowlers Ed, which is a nationally recognized program that goes out to elementary schools and early child care education facilities, so that we can offer bowling mats. They're like a carpet mat that has your spots for your 10 pins, and then each of our duffel bags has 10 pins in it and a rubber bowling ball. So kids can include that in their educational units that they have in school, and then they can bring some of what they've learned to the center. So we have a youth program that starts just after Labor Day and runs typically until about the end of March. And so if the kids complete the entirety of the season, they enter into some of our qualifiers to go on to other youth tournaments that are held here throughout the state. So if they stay with it and they keep involved, they get to go on to bowl in other centers. They can see what bowling in other places looks like. And for me, doing that as a youth, I had 10 years of youth bowling experience in Mount Pleasant. So for me, getting to go to Granville, going to Bridgeport, going to some of these different houses in the state was rewarding. I loved doing it because it was getting to check out new places. And as a kid, you're always loving to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that was going to be my next question. Are you a bowler? But you answered that. So.
I did. Yeah. Yes. I've been involved, like I said, in youth bowling for 10 years. I did 2 years of high school bowling at Shepherd High School. And then I did 1 year of bowling at Mid-Michigan Community College. And then after that, I've been a part of the Mount Pleasant Association for the last 4 years now. And this is now my first year in the Lansing Association on what we call our Sport Shot League.
Okay. So when you join a bowling association, what does that mean? What do you get from that?
Well, in the simple text, being a part of a bowling association is simply just being a member. Each member that is part of an association pays a certification fee to be a part of it, and that enters them into all kinds of benefits that the USBC will offer. And a lot of those benefits you can read more about through bowl.com. And some of those would include like being able to, find members that are also in the association. You can enter into some of the state tournaments to be able to earn prizes and win money from. There's also the options to be able to compete at the national level. They hold the USBC Open for nationals, typically out in the Las Vegas area. So if you're a member, you can sign up to be in that event. And this last spring, actually, as being a part of the Mount Pleasant Association, as a youth director, I was able to go out to the national convention that they host, which was a really cool opportunity. We had association managers and presidents from around the country, in a lot of different regions that were there. And so it was just really cool getting to not only network with them, but learn about some of the insights of the industry, how some of the fundraisers that we work with, like Susan G. Komen, Bowl for a Cure, Bowl for Veterans Link, to support our veterans, how some of these organizations are continuing to make an impact, and some of the different ways that we can look to do that this year. So out of the Mount Pleasant Association alone, we were able to do about 25,000 to support our veterans in the last couple of years worth of efforts. So it's one of those things you build on it little by little, and after a couple of years, you really start to see some major change. So I enjoy being a part of the associations for the simple benefits of being able to give back and support those fundraisers, because I think it does a lot, and it brings the community together, which is the most important thing.
Sure. Had you ever been to Vegas before?
No, that was my first time. And
Yeah.
being that I had earned the Young Delegates Grant, as it was a program that USBC offered, they had covered my flight expense and my hotel expense. So I felt like a king, you could say.
Right. Yeah, that's great. Well, congratulations on winning that. And I've never been to Vegas. That's why I asked. It's not some place I'd like to go, but I'd love to go on someone else's time. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it was held in South Point, at the South Point Casino, where they also held the Women's Open Championship this year. And so they had, like, the casino floor was your bottom level, and then they had an entire 40 or 60 lane bowling center that was on two sides. You could actually turn around and see the other side of the alley. It was pretty wild. And
That's
so
cool.
they had that on the entire second floor of the casino. So I mean, just massive facilities out there that some of these bowling recreation activities are going on.
Mm-hmm. All right, I have to ask, what is your favorite movie about bowling?
The Big Lebowski.
All right, that's what I figured you'd say. Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. So what made you start to be interested in the sports administration degree that you're going after?
That's a great question. So really, it kind of started when I completed my transfer agreement from Mid-Michigan College to CMU. My dad had started to go into an accounting field, and so when I was in high school, I kind of felt that going down a business path would be something I would enjoy doing. But in the high school days, I did not know what that was going to look like, or how that would be. So I kind of followed a generic path until I got to CMU, and I learned that they had a sport management program. And I instantly, started putting the connection together that this program was for me. And a lot of that just stemmed from finding out, from talking with peers and some of the professors that I had, that they love to talk about sports. And that was just kind of something that I gravitated to in an interest. And the more that I stayed involved in the program for my undergrad, the more I learned, and the more I came to understand that a sports management degree is a similar degree as someone that works in a business field, whether you're in an accounting office or in a retail business or in a proprietorship or of your own kind. Or if you're in a marketing role, or if you're in a analytics role, but you get to apply it to sports. So
Right.
you get to be the behind the scenes on everything that's going on. So, learning in one of my classes, I remember it was a sport marketing class. We got to actually sell tickets for the Detroit Pistons as part of this project. We were given a unique link, and we were able to go around and sell tickets. And we got, a part of our grade was based on how well we did. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, like, I'm a ticket rep. I'm not really making any money per se on this, but I'm getting real world experience on selling tickets and getting to see, like, kind of some of that feedback that you get, how to handle those rejections, how to, praise questions in a way that people will be more inclined to answer. So it was really cool just at a young age, going through school, getting to see that. And then as I got a little further through the program, there was a capstone class I took in event management. And that one was really cool because we did a project for breast cancer. And there was a local organization called the Angel Wings Fund. And they were able to partner with us. And we ended up raising $12,000 through a cornhole tournament that we ran at Maury Courts Recreation Complex in Mount Pleasant. So that was really cool. We got a little YouTube shout out for that. So yeah, if anyone wants to ever check that out and see how that went down, they just got to type Crush Cancer Cornhole on YouTube, and they'll be able to find that. So it was just getting involved in doing things with sport that really kind of started to stand out the further I got along in the program. And as I got after my graduation in 2019, and I went on to work a couple of different odds and end jobs. This was then through the pandemic, and I wasn't able to really, feel that same connection that I had with sports that was there when I was in school. I got to thinking, well, maybe having more involvement in education might be the way to do it again. And so I started back in the fall of 21 for my master's program, and immediately got back involved into event management. And we raised about $5,000 for congenital heart disease through a disc golf tournament that we held. So it immediately was just bam, right back into the thick of the action, and continuing through that. We've been able to do a lot of other cool projects too. So I guess the way that I've been able to make a difference in using sport as a catalyst has been a real life opening opportunity for me, just to be able to share and be able to impact so many people. And I think that's what the greatest thing is about sports, is that it does bring people together. It does show people that you can have that sense of camaraderie, you can have that sense of belonging, and you don't have to have it necessarily affect all of your day to day. You can use it as a means of stress relief. You can use it as a means of connecting with friends and family members. You can use it as a means of being able to have a sense of purpose for some. So I really love that it ties that all together like a rubber band ball.
Right. That was great. That was a great story about why you study and love what you do. So let's take a few minutes to talk about some upcoming events that you've got going at Royal Scot. I know you talked about the trunk or treat that's on December 28th. And of course, for our listeners, don't forget that we'll have links to all these things in the show notes. So you don't have to worry about pulling out your phone while you're driving your car listening to this. Yeah. So what you got? What else you got coming up?
Well, let's see here. We have a adult youth no tap tournament we'll be doing in November. That'll be the first weekend. I'm working on trying to put together a house ball turkey challenge for right around Thanksgiving. So they got to come in and actually throw a house bowling ball. They can't bring in their own equipment, so it kind of levels the playing field a little bit. So trying to put together a little event for that just after Thanksgiving, and then once we get towards the end of this year, then we get into a lot of our holiday party planning and getting set up for New Year's. New Year's is always a big one for bowling. It seems people love to go out and celebrate with friends, family, and do something fun for an activity. So New Year's is usually really busy for us. And then we get into the beginning of next year. So we'll be working again with some of our tournament events going on. We have a Knights of Columbus state tournament event that we'll be hosting, and I have a few others that are trying to get on the books still yet too. So those are some of the most immediate upcoming ones that I'm aware of, but there's always things that are filtering in as we go. So
yeah, we should mention too, I know you guys do host a lot of holiday parties for businesses. So I know there's a lot of business owners and people that listen to the show. So I would say if you're looking for a place to have your holiday party for your business, Royal Scot's a really good idea. They cater, they do lots of food, they've got a bar, and then of course you can bowl and do other things while you're there. So check it out. I know since Joanie's a friend of mine, she did mention recently that they've got some openings for parties still. So if you're looking for a place to book and you're thinking you're waiting to the last minute, you should call Royal Scot.
We also have our full banquet menu that is available on our website. So if you find the banquets tab, you'll be able to see all of the menu options that we have to offer. You can kind of plug and play with the options you'd like to have catered for your event. So never just one option to run with when it comes to putting on a celebration. That's
good. That's a good point. And if you're wondering what that website is, it's royalscot.net. And Scott has one T. So royalscot.net. Yeah. So is there anything else that you want to tell our listeners that we haven't covered before we wrap up? Is your friend joining us, you think?
I'm not exactly sure. I was told that he was going to be popping by, but he may not end up being able to join us today.
Sure, no problem.
I mean, my biggest thing is I'm still learning and growing here in the Lansing area. Like I've mentioned earlier in the show, coming from the Mount Pleasant area and kind of part of a college town. I grew up in the country where you didn't really have a lot of these connections and resources readily available. So I think just after coming to Lansing here over the last 18 months and getting to learn about what this 517 and loving 517 has to put together, I'm slowly beginning to build a stronger sense of connection with the city. And I think that's important for, so many that are looking for people to look up to and to find ways of being able to put fun activities together. So, I came to Lansing to work in minor league baseball, and I worked with the Lansing Lugnuts as a ticket rep. And so there was a lot of events that were held down at Jackson Field that I was a part of, from our Dan Henry Restaurant Olympics to our, we had a couple of beer fest events that we hosted out there, a wine fest event. We did a polar plunge to support ALS and Alzheimer's. And then we also have had things with like rugby, like MSU versus U of M rugby were over at the stadium. So there's a lot of opportunity here in Lansing to continue to be a part of something special. It's just a matter of knowing right where to look. So I think the 517 community is definitely growing and emerging as a strong force here in the state of Michigan. And I hope I can continue to do that part here from over here at Royal Scot.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of really creative ideas for fundraisers and events and things like that to bring the community together. So I look forward to seeing more and more about what you're doing over there at Royal Scot, Jake. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you on our show to hear about your degree that you're pursuing. Good luck with that, and also everything you're doing to help out Royal Scot. We appreciate you.
Likewise, thank you so much. Yeah, it's going to be a fun rest of the year to see how things pan out, and I just like the fact that we're getting a chance to be available. We're here, and we're always happy to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for being on our show. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Adventures in Business. Again, you can find all the information about Royal Scot at royalscot.net. We release episodes every Wednesday, so we appreciate you coming on along. You can listen to our iTunes, zdmedia.com, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Next week, we have coming up Andre Worthy, the owner of Walk Worthy Clothing, a clothing store in the Lansing Mall. And little fun fact, Andre and his wife designed and made the suit that I wear as the mobstress at the marketing event. So I'm excited to talk to my friend next week, Andre. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And as always, make it an adventure.
This is a Zedia Media production.